What in the world? Well, hi, this is Lynn McWright and Teresa Walding. We're here with Advancing Nurse Coaching on the 11th day of October, 2023. It's such a delight to be with you to talk about our favorite subject, nurse coaching. And we're really going to be looking at where we have come as far as our nursing experience today and really reaping the harvest of that wonderful experience that we have. And I guess we'll talk about it in a bit, but one of the things that is criterion for nurse coaching is that the nurses who sit for the board exam are required to have some nursing experience. So it varies according to nursing degree, but at any rate, it is important for us to mention that. Well, Teresa, where would you like to begin today?
Well, I really like the title that we gave it, because what is nurse coaching is an overarching concept, because I think it still is new. We're still in that awareness stage of what is nurse coaching. But to reap the harvest of all your professional experience, I think that's the essence of nurse coaching, is we get to practice at the top of our license and experience as a nurse coach. And I know there's a lot of conversation out there, like working across state lines. How do I make nurse coaching a part of my practice? What does it look like? The short answer is there's no limit. Whatever you want to do as a nurse, staying within your license and education, you can do with nurse coaching. And I think it's taken us a while to really grasp that. What we can do and what we are doing through nurse coaching to not just enhance nursing, but to improve patient outcomes.
So what Teresa's talking about, working across state lines, involves the compact states. And right now, for example, Texas is part of a group of compact states where we are allowed as RNs to work within 26 different states. And most of that is done telephonically or by virtual services. And it's a whole new area. We are thrilled to be here now. I know Texas is one of those gigantic states where services are very hard to come by, especially the farther west you go, the smaller the population area. So it's thrilling to be able to offer people a health care who are located in more remote areas. And there are several different groups of compact states. You can look it up online and check out a map to find which states are involved in that now. And it seems to be that they're increasing every day. There are more compact states every day on the map as we grow our telehealth services.
Yeah. So today we just wanted to cover 3 points today, just as a launching point for how to reap the harvest of your professional experience as a nurse coach. And the 3 are: what sets nurse coaching apart from current nursing practice? How does nurse coaching benefit you as a professional nurse? And how can you get involved and be a catalyst for positive change through nurse coaching? So those are the 3 topics. We'll just kind of dive in here.
Sure.
But what sets nurse coaching apart from current nursing practice really is that holistic approach. Most of us, me, grew up in the medical model. And while my program was really wonderful about talking about, you look at your patient first, look at the monitor second, and making sure you call people by name, it's real easy to talk about the patient in room 302 or depersonalize the care. Coaching is bringing back that personal aspect of care for our patients. We take that approach that we treat a person as a whole, mind, body, and spirit. And we allow them, through our knowledge of how human beings work, to empower people to take part in their own health. Coaches we like to say, come up alongside and a little bit behind whoever we're coaching so they can find their own answers. And I think that is a little bit different take than us going in and saying, here's what the doctor ordered. This is how you use it. These are the steps to take. Call the doctor if these things happen. And we say it really fast and we give them the paperwork and out the door. Coaching brings back that personalization. As far as I can see, is it's an intentional conversation. You put on the coaching hat and you step in the room and you become present to that person. And it can happen very quickly, but being aware that this is what we're doing totally changes the equation of the kind of impact that we have on our patients and our clients. And again, we can do nurse coaching anywhere a nurse would work, at the bedside, private practice, in the community, anywhere that nurses work. Lynn, you're on mute.
That's one of the things that's so beautiful about nurse coaching. We have all clinical areas, all age groups to work with, everything from the neonatal intensive care unit all the way through hospice and end of life. So there are no exceptions in regard to patients' diagnosis or the clinical areas, and it includes all nursing areas.
And the part I love about it too is we get to use nursing diagnosis. I think we forget about that sometimes. A lot of people are worried about working within their scope and standards of practice. Only nurses have nursing diagnosis. And most of those diagnoses really do affect and direct our practice. And so really embracing the knowledge that nurses have, the knowledge of how to put a body into a state of health. We know that that person, given the right environment, the right nutrition, the right mindset, if you will put that body into a state where innate health just takes over. We don't do anything to heal people, but we also know that stress, anxiety, and some of the things that come with that dysregulate human beings and makes healing harder. I know I was shocked to find out years ago when you could almost predict who would do better and who would do worse based on how they presented. And when you could help that person have a better outlook or see, hope, that things turned miraculously and people who you didn't think would make it did. And that was part of the nursing that I loved, especially when I worked in ICU. I saw that over and over. And so I think we've been using nurse coaching for a very, very long time now, shining the light and giving it a name and really leaning into what that means for us is very empowering.
Well, it's really remarkable that there's a particular type of heart surgery that done tests and they have shown that if women specifically rank high on the depression scale prior to the surgery, their outcomes are not as beneficial. And then also just in terms of the workforce, the physician that developed the pacemaker became very interested in how human beings tick and the principles that we teach when he read that people who do you remember, Teresa, what it was that he found? The surgeon, the state of mind of the surgeon in the heart surgery was the most important factor on the success or the failure of the surgery. The state of mind of the surgeon. Well, that's us too. The state of the mind of the nurse is already the most important factor in our relationship with our patient. And I know that one of our nurse coaches has just a wonderful practice. She's in an outpatient endocrinology. One day, one of her 80-something clients came in, 85-year-old diabetic. She had lost 3 family members in the previous 4 months. And Jan just sat with her quietly and said, you can't be in 2 places at once. You can't be here now, living and taking care of you and living in the past. And the lady just got fire in her eyes. And she said, do you mean to tell me that I'm not taking care of myself because I'm thinking about them? I can't bring them back, but I have the rest of my life to live. And 3 months later, she came back with more blood sugar checks than she'd had in the previous 3 years, and an A1C that was ideal for her. Does nurse coaching work? Wow. That was just an immediate example. I mean, less than a 20-minute visit, probably 5 minutes for that part, less. And the change that took place in not just her mental understanding, but really struck a chord in her heart. So she was able to take care of herself. And how do we know that? The A1C told the story. The labs told the story. Thanks.
I love that. I love that story because it's like it holds it all. Like, that's nursing, that's coaching, that's patient empowerment, and it's change, the transformation that happens as a result of an insight. That's a really good lead into the next one we wanted to talk about, which is, how does nurse coaching benefit you as a professional nurse? Truthfully, the first step is professional growth. We don't often talk about it. I know that there's a lot of talk about it in leadership, but I don't think we all, once we finish school and we start working and things start moving really fast and, life goes on, we don't think about continued professional growth, not just career, like our own personal health, our own personal values, our knowledge, or the things that we do that work for us, and enhancing this communication piece of learning how to take care of patients. I've had several younger nurses call me basically about mental health patients that they're trying to care for on the floor amidst all of the things that are going on. And one in particular called and she's like, I just can't stand to take care of this guy. He's going, coming through DTs and he's hard to care for. And I don't know how to talk to him. I don't know what to say to him. And I said, well, have you asked him his story? Like, what got him to this point? And she's like, it never crossed my mind. So she did go talk to him, and he told her his story and her whole perspective of her care, of who he was as a human being, of her presence of listening to him completely changed the dynamics. And he became her easier patient. And I thought, that is coaching again. When we take the time to realize we're taking care of human beings, it's a human to human connection, but empowering people with your love, your kindness, your presence changes the dynamics of the care that we give to people. But it leads into professional redefinition. When we start coming from this place, this coaching perspective, if you will, it changes us too, because we begin to see, oh, it's not just about my patient, it's about me. How am I showing up? What is my purpose for being here? How can I care about someone and not just for someone? Because that care about them piece, people know that you can't fix what's wrong, but they know that you're there to do what you can do. And it feels really good for someone to care about you as a human being on your life journey.
Wow, tell them about the guy who came back the next day and apologized.
So one of our students works in a clinic, colonoscopy clinic, and he had a bad experience at the clinic prior to this second procedure. And of course, if you know it's a second procedure, something's going on. And he came in, he was angry, he was belligerent, he was resistant. He wasn't sure he wanted to be there. And Isabel was like, hold on a minute. She was taking nurse coaching. She goes, stop everything, slow down. She said, I'm just going to go sit by him. And she began to ask him, what's going on inside of you? What's happening with you? And so then when he started talking, he was able to express not just his discontent with what previously happened, but his internal fears and his internal dialogue that was happening with him, that was giving this experience that everyone else in the room, if we've all had that patient, we're like, here we go again, not it. And then we go to, let someone deal with it. Sometimes it's us. But she said once she spoke to him and he calmed down, he became the perfect patient. And the next day he came back and apologized for his behavior and thanked them for their kindness and compassion. That was a 5-minute conversation. It doesn't take all day to do a coaching session. Sometimes if we're in a relationship with someone, it can take longer. But we can use those skills in the moment, whenever we need to, if we have the presence of mind to do it. But what happens for us internally is we begin to get clarity, professional clarity of exact next steps for the moment that we're in. And I like to think of it like when Isabel said, hold on, stop, slowing it down. It's not going to be helpful to rush this person through, but it was incredibly helpful to take that 5 minutes. And I know that every nurse has done this before. We've recognized what the problem is and slowed it down or changed the way that we approach someone. And it makes all the difference. And I had the one experience when I used to work pre and post anesthesia recovery. I was doing some pre-op, and I had a lady, she was having a fit about having her IV started. She was crying, she was anxious. She had been traumatized as a child having IVs. And so I told her, I said, let's just take a look. And so I started talking to her and had her tell her story. And as I was talking to her, I said, hey, I found one. I'm going to go ahead and put it in. She goes, yeah, what? Okay. I sent the IV in. It was all done. And she was like, you're finished?
It's not all about you, mister, okay?
Rael, do you mind putting yourself on? So those are all the instances where a coaching skill really helps us. And because nurse coaching is now a board certification that we can sit for a national board, it is Magnet and Pathways recognized, and shine the light on this skill and embrace what nursing is. We're shining the light on what nurses do. You have anything to add, Lynn?
Well, one of the things that we were talking about, the nursing diagnosis, the people who write those came to the American Holistic Nurses at one point, I think 3 years ago, maybe. And they said, what about this diagnosis of disturbance in the human energy field? And so the American Holistic Nurses went to work, formed a committee, came up with a justification on that diagnosis. And actually, if we were to use that, we could use it with every patient. Every patient that nurse coaching sees has a disturbance. in the human energy field. They wouldn't be our client if they did not. So I just, when we think big picture, it comes up a very, very different professional scope than what we have envisioned most recently. Of course, the public, part of our job, really, Teresa addressed this, part of our job is to educate the public as to what it is that nurses do, because all they see is a person in a white uniform at the hospital. And of course, that's no longer true. Do you want to speak to that, Teresa?
I'm not sure.
Well, aspect of educating the public.
Right, right. But I guess what I'm seeing is that nurse coaches are working everywhere, at the bedside, in the community, in private practice. But the one thing that I haven't seen for a really long time, and I think nurse coaches are beginning to do that, is to do public education programs where they talk about stress reduction or what to do about anxiety, because we know both of those things directly affect health. And I mean, I've heard it since I've been a nurse forever that I need to get them to get their stress level down or they're going to die, especially when I worked cardiac rehab. You know, the stress level of people's lives is detrimental to their health. And nurse coaching is a direct pathway to educate people about how they work, how to put a body into a state of health. It's not just the food you eat. It's not just the exercise you do. You have to include this mental health piece and the spiritual realities that people live in to have the full-bodied experience. And nurses know this. We've been doing it for a very long time. I don't think the public really sees that side of nursing. And truly, it's our responsibility to shine the light on it and let people know. It's so second nature to us, we don't even think about it. But it is completely new to people who have never been around nurses or gotten to know a nurse. And well, I don't know. I live, even in my own family, I don't think my husband really understands everything that I do. But I see the result in his responses, especially since I've been coaching, because I show up different. Our conversations are different. Lynn, would you like to tell the statistics of what the results?
Well, what we found, the National Institutes of Health actually has done a study of certified nurse coaches. And it was very interesting. The top 3 areas that nurse coaches work with diagnostically are, first of all, the area of stress and anxiety. Secondly, all of the cardiometabolic conditions that we call long-term chronic illness. And then the third being the area of pain. So those are the top 3 areas that the nurse coaches work in. Of course, because we're all clinical areas and all age groups of clients, there is everything across the board. The article can be found at the Journal of the American Academy of Nurse Practitioners, May of 2018. But the other interesting findings, I think, were that the nurse coaches themselves said, 70% of them said that they had improved job satisfaction after becoming a certified nurse coach. 80% said that they had improved interpersonal relationships, and 85% said that they had improved personal health and health habits. So we're happy, healthy nurses that are good communicators. That's who nurse coaches are. So welcome. The article is a very interesting article, and JAANP, May of 2018.
Thank you, Lynn. I'm always I always like those statistics because I do feel that those are true. Like, it's one thing for it to be statistics in a journal. It's another thing to say, yeah, that's me too. Like, I can say that for a fact that I feel that that's true after becoming a board certified nurse coach. So I'd like to move on to our last point here, and then we'll open it up to conversation, comments, questions. But so how can you get involved to be a catalyst for this positive change? There's 5 nurse coaching schools across the nation. We are one of them, Advancing Nurse Coaching. A fun fact about that is we all get together quarterly. Lynn started a nurse coach educators collaborative. So we all know each other. We support each other. I think that is a very good example of collegiality, of really championing each other in the work that we're doing. And, you know, finding the programs that resonate with you. We are the only one that really does touch only on resilience and the mental health piece of coaching. But everything is important. All of the aspects of human beings are important.
Well, and Teresa, you didn't say that there are also 3 doctoral
Yes.
programs, so 3 DNP programs that offer nurse coaching. And Minnesota, Florida, and Texas, we teach our
Yes.
program at Texas Wesleyan University. So it is becoming very well known in the highest levels of nursing now, academically, as well as alternatives. Well, I never really saw holistic nursing or nurse coaching as being any kind of alternative. In my way of looking at things, this is absolutely mainstream. This absolutely needs to be where we all are in our profession, not isolated as an exception, not an alternative. It is what we all use every day. And it's time for us to be recognized for that skill, our use of insight and intuition. Now we call it informed knowing, since Barbie Dossi wrote the book, Holistic Nursing, a Handbook for Practice. But it's that informed knowing that always has been there with us. Every one of us has had the experience of running down to the end of the hall, not knowing why, until we arrived at that last room and saw that the patient needed us. How did we know to go there at that point in time? We've all experienced it.
Yeah, I love it. So the next place that we can connect with each other is our nursing organizations, associations. Most of us here know about American Holistic Nurses Association. Lynn and I have been very active in the nursing associations because we know that people are seeking connection, and they're showing up more and more at the nursing associations, getting to know each other, building a community of nurses who are all going in the same direction, bringing our gifts and talents to the equation, really is going to help not just nursing, but healthcare in general. And it can't help but impact patient care, which is, why most of us got into nursing in the first place. We cared about the human condition. The other side of nurse coaching is it's a forever learning opportunity for us. We will never come to the end of our knowledge about nursing or human beings or the evolution that we're undertaking right now. In this case, elevating nurse coaching to a place where it belongs, to enhance our nursing practice and our own lives. Lynn, do you have something to say?
It's just, I had mentioned the tipping point. Teresa, can you tell us about that?
I love the tipping point. So we were on a meeting one time with a lady. We were honoring a moment of silence for Florence Nightingale's birthday. And she was talking about the tipping point. And she said, in anything that is about to catch fire, such as the pet rock or a new idea or the iPhone or Android, whatever topic you want to pick. In this case, it's nurse coaching. And worldwide, there's 14.8 million nurses. And if 0.0001% of those nurses become board certified nurse coaches, there's no way to stop it. Well, we've hit the tipping point because we only needed 1,400 nurse coaches. And at last count, I believe there were over 3,000. So more and more people are finding out about nurse coaching. So I encourage you to let your colleagues know, hey, there's this thing called nurse coaching, and it's going to be the hottest thing ever. You know, I was reading a statistic about health information and health innovation. It was like a $14 billion industry that nurses really need to be a part of. Health information, health promotion. We see a ton of life coaches out there. We see a ton of health coaches, but not that many of them are nurses. Nurses have special knowledge of how bodies work, how that interpersonal communication works. And I know that anyone who has the desire to be a coach, a health coach, lifestyle coach, whatever you want to call it, has something to share with the world. And I want nurses to be on the forefront of that as we share our knowledge of how to put a body into a state of health. We can directly impact the health of human beings. You're on mute, Lynn.
There is only one certifying body for nurse coaching, and that one certifying body is the American Holistic Nurses Certification Corporation, AHNCC.org. That organization was started by Margaret Erickson, and she was very forward-looking, along with her colleagues, in establishing a board certification. So the one sentence that I absolutely love to say is this: nursing is the first and only profession that offers a board certification in coaching. There are many coaching programs out there, but you don't have to have any special credentials to be a health coach. For nurse coaching, you are required to have a license, an active license as a nurse. And just as the Girl Scouts say, the word girl comes first in Scouts, the word nurse comes first in nurse coaching. We are nurses first. We are held to the full extent of our license in whatever state we're licensed in. And some of our traveling nurses, one of my friends is licensed in 39 states. I could hardly believe it. How do they keep track? Anyway, I just love the fact that Margaret Erickson and her colleagues came together and decided for themselves and for all of us that nurse coaching would be the way forward for our profession. I'm so grateful to all of those nurses, but specifically to the American Holistic Nurses Certification Corporation, Margaret Erickson. Thanks.
You want to let them know about what it takes to become a board certified coach?
So I just put in the chat the organization, AHNCC.org, American Holistic Nurses Certification Corporation. That's where you look. That's the website for all of the information on nurse coaching certification. And basically what it comes down to is 60 hours of holistic continuing education, contact hours for CE, and 60 hours of coaching. So we provide both in our program. We have 4 courses, and you can sit for the national board after 3. The coaching hours are supervised within our program, So there's no extra cost for that. That's already incorporated. The experience is for if you are an associate degree person, it requires 4 years of experience. If your degree is baccalaureate or higher, it requires 2 years of experience. And so those are the criteria. 60 contact hours for continuing education, holistic contact hours, 60 hours of practice coaching, and experience and active license as a nurse.
Perfect. So the one last thing I like to talk about is what you guys are doing here right now, networking and getting to know a community of nurses. Some of you I've seen on the calls before, and building these relationships with each other, finding out about nurse coaching, sharing your expertise and your dreams, really, of what do you want to do with nurse coaching? When you hear about nurse coaching, what do you want to do with it? And then talking to us about it. We'd be happy to get on a call with you and explore those options of, what does this look like for you and how would you like to bring it to your practice? Because it really is an individual choice of becoming a board certified coach. And then from there, staying connected to a community. There's many of us out here now, which is really wonderful. I've connected with people from all across the nation and all different coaching programs. And we're doing some amazing things. We're really stepping up and taking the role of the professional nurse and bringing our knowledge to light and helping each other and helping our public really to become healthier. And I can't think of anything else I'd rather do. So thank you for being here today. We truly, truly appreciate it. And we'll open it up for some questions or comments.
Yeah, I'll just say that we do have a special offer ongoing right now in case somebody needs to leave. Our Calendly links are in the chat. So if you want to schedule a call with either Teresa or myself, we'll be glad to share that code with you. But in the meantime, yeah, absolutely. Let's talk. This is a perfect location to do that.
Hi, this is Lynn,
Yes,
Hey.
the other Lynn.
Great.
my twin today,
Yeah.
my public health person.
There you go. So my question, I guess, is I totally embrace the role of nurse coaching for our patients, obviously, for all the reasons that you have so clearly articulated here, and appreciate sort of inspiring again. I always get inspired when I sort of hear the true essence of what nursing, what I think most of us are in nursing for. So I appreciate that very much. My role as a program director in an RN to BSN completion program is obviously to equip and prepare the next generation workforce, right? And it's been a beautiful thing to see. I'm very excited about our student population and that we have some newly graduated students who've been in the field for a year or less. And yes, they're in like NICU and ED and, mother baby and all these places that traditionally they never used to be in immediately, post-graduation. So we have that all the way to some nurses that have been in the field for, 2 decades, and they're wanting to maybe go to a higher level, maybe a little different focus. Some of them are doing it because they just want to grow and have that BSN now. And some of them have to do it because they're in a magnet, institution and they're required to do it. So we have a variety and everything in between. I've got one nurse that's out there working with 13 to 21-year-old juveniles, who are in juvenile hall and have incredible mental health as well as physical, health needs. And so how do we equip with this role? That's my question, I guess, just a kind of philosophical, like how do we use this role for our nurses in every And I heard what you said here. This is for everyone, right? It's for every nurse, for every patient, for every setting. So moving forward, how do you do that? But also, how do you integrate that into a curriculum? Because if it doesn't get integrated into academia, it's going to be a whole lot longer lift, right? I think to get this into the practice arena. And so how do we do that? And do you see any legislation and or like when we look at pre-licensure, I don't see a lot of room for it, unfortunately, for all the reasons that we know of. They're so focused on test scores, so focused on critical thinking, and getting that critical thinking skill up so they, keep a patient safe, right? When they graduate and transition. And so how do we actually bring this to the forefront and
Well, that is
highlight?
a question. Yeah, thanks so much, Lynn. We actually have students in all of those areas clinically that you spoke of. And several of our students are faculty in schools of nursing nationwide. One particular one that I'm thinking of right now took this into her classroom, and she was working with first-year students. They had her assigned to teach cognitive behavior therapy. So the way that she did that, she put cognitive behavior on one side of the page, and she put the way it really works on the other with the principles that we share in our nurse coaching program, principles of resilience. And every student put down their cell phone the entire semester because
Okay, you got me right there.
they wanted to hear how it really works. And she was able to share that with them through speaking about the innate health and our resilience principles, our principles of health, which we call the 3 principles. And it was a first year group. On the other hand, as I said, Teresa and I are teaching at the doctoral level. So there's no place within academia that doesn't fit. But it's wherever the nurse finds herself and has the ability to bring it.
I want to specifically address our program though, because what we're bringing is different than other coaching programs, because our only topic is resilience and how the mind works. I've taken any number of coaching classes, read a million books probably. I'm just kidding. Probably feels like it. But until I understood how my mind worked, I wasn't getting the results like I get now. And this piece is what we're talking about bringing into nursing through coaching. And so when Lynn talking about, my ideal would be that it would at least be an elective that nurses could take for about nurse coaching, but specifically the resilience paradigm principles. We have several names for it, but if our new nurses knew about this from the beginning, it would be a completely different place.
When we understand that we have what we describe as separate realities, and I can't have your thoughts and you can't have mine, that's the end of bullying. It's going to be a new day for nursing. It's an era of collegiality. We're going to have each other's backs. We're not going to be demeaning each other or running each other down. It's an era of collaboration and collegiality that nursing actually has always known, but it's become hidden under the challenges of the day-to-day details. Now it disappeared rapidly, and it will return rapidly because it's always been there. And when we each of us see that for ourselves, there's no stopping our work. Nursing is the answer to the transformation of the healthcare system. because nursing is the healthcare system.
Right. I really appreciate that, Lynn. Thank you. And we have the potential option to include that as an elective anyway, to your point, in this program, at least down the road, and probably after initial accreditation happens. But I think I really appreciate what you're saying. I guess the other part to that is, you know, having healthcare partnership and academia at the same table, acknowledging what you're talking about, because that's the other, you know, barrier that I see. And while you're out there seeing healthcare organizations, you know, really beginning to embrace this role because they have to, and that's unfortunate, but the thought that it will create an opportunity that we can really, like you say, make a change. And I think the other thing is that we truly are entering a phase of incredible diversity, the potential for a whole lot more diversity, males, females, you know, various orientations, a whole different era of ethnicity in terms of, you know, the populations we're seeing in nurses who actually look like the patients they're taking care of, you know. And I think that that's also an aspect of this, that so really that cultural sensitivity, understanding bias, understanding how that impacts, like you were saying, you know, how we treat each other,
Right.
is huge. But so these are pieces that I think are wonderful to talk about. It seems a little daunting, and I guess just because, right?
The most important factor always in healthcare is finance. And when I taught at the University of Texas in El Paso, that was back in 91, there were 33% male in our courses. Why is that? Because there was a downturn in the economy and these guys want jobs and they came to nursing school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and I think, I mean, then I see the other side of it, and I have more students that are in counseling, more students that are, you know, just I guess what I'm to your point, is there a reason that, you know, we could see that we would want, and yeah, they're actually paying better now than they used to because they have to, right? I'm just speaking very transparently here. But at the same time, on the other side of it is this incredible, we can't retain them. We can't retain our new grads. They're leaving in droves. You know, our workforce is retiring because a large percentage of it is aging and retire, you know, meeting that. So how can we, I guess all I'm saying is I can see this as even, you know.
But this is the answer to that. What
Yeah.
we have as nurse coaching feeds us. We are as nourished as our client every time we talk. And
Right.
that spark within us is what we need to keep burning in order not to burn out. And in regard to our profession, yes, we have a lot of people who are at the age where retirement often happens, but nurse coaches can work anywhere. I'm eager to take the experience of those nurses and put it to work in nurse coaching. If they want to continue working on either a full or part-time basis, that's certainly optional. Teresa, do you want to talk about private enterprise?
Yeah, a lot of nurses are opening private practices to directly help their public. They're also creating jobs within their healthcare systems. I was reading, I wish I should reach out to her, but she created her own position within her facility to coach her fellow nurses. We also have a couple of people who are in new grad preceptorships who are using the coaching skill to help the new grads bridge over into working in nursing on the floor. And they're finding that a lot of them get real insecure on the floor, and they come back and they're like, I can't do it. And they're using their coaching skills and being the role model for these new nurses to empower them to do the job they want to do. I love new grads because they are so excited to be here. And then they get out there and it becomes really hard. And people are like, I'm not cut out for it. I can't do it. And so I really see nurse coaching as that bridge for our profession as well, not just our patients, but being, even if you're just the nurse coach on the floor, noticing what's going on and putting your coach hat on to insert yourself into the circumstances that we see going on every day, and empowering that nurse to say, listen, you're going to be fine. I'm going to help you. Let's go do this. And letting them know they have what it takes within here to do nursing. But it's going to take all of us to shift this, what's been happening since I've been a nurse, the eating your young idea. I think there were plenty of us who never aspired to that, who never wanted to be part of that. But the culture was as such that I think sometimes we participated even when we didn't think we were.
In our silence.
Well, in our silence or however that comes up. But things are changing. This new generation, I am so glad they're here. And if we can, bridge the gap, it's not a generation gap, it's a knowledge gap. And sharing knowledge from the seasoned nurses to the new nurses, and from the new nurses to the older nurses, we have things to learn from each other. And when we realize that we're not that different and that we came here to do our passion, no one goes through nursing school and then shows up at work and says, I think I'll do a bad job today. No one does that. And yet sometimes we feel like that's what happens. And I love that we're having new conversations around nursing and how to solve our own problems.
Thank you.
Yeah, we know that the principles that we're bringing are quite new to the profession. In fact, the principles themselves, as we're teaching them, are only around 50 years old. But it's creating huge waves of healthy people worldwide. Our principles of resilience are already known in 63 countries, and with our program, we actually span the globe. When we opened in 2016, 7 years ago, we had students on 3 continents, and we have students in Canada now, all across the US and in Europe. So it's not, the problems of nursing are the same worldwide. And our answers are universal. So it applies to all cultures, all societies, all age groups. All of us have innate health within. We have resilience within. It's only touching that and being able to see it for ourselves that makes it blossom. Who else?
Then Natalie was asking about the code.
Well, so Teresa, do we want to have individual conversations in regard to that?
I mean, Natalie, I would invite you to speak with us just for a minute. We're going to give the code to people when they schedule a call with us, just so it's not out in the ethers, just to keep it for the groups of people that come to the calls. And if you're watching this later, please schedule a call with us and let us know that you did watch the presentation, and you can be eligible for the code as well.
Why do we want to have an individual conversation with you? We want to know about your goals and where you would like to go with what you're doing in nursing, or what you hope to do. And in that way, we'll know how to be of most service to you and how to be the best fit that we possibly can be.
Let me repost the links. She might have come in late and doesn't see the link.
Right.
Natalie, I just posted a link right there for Lynn and I, so you can schedule right there. Just pick one of our names and schedule a call with us.
Yes, you're more than welcome to also give us an email if you'd like, if you want to put those
Yes,
in there too, Teresa.
yes.
Well, I see that we have a couple of minutes left, so I think we have time for at least one more question. Just go ahead and unmute yourself, or maybe I wonder if I need to unmute Rel. Rael, there's a request for you to unmute.
Hello?
Hi there.
Hello.
Hi, yeah, I was just scheduling a call with you next week, Wednesday, and I think I have done it already. What was the question?
Well, I just thought maybe you had a question for the group today, that you would just like to ask something, a specific question right now.
I'm more interested in coaching new nurses because I'm faculty, full-time faculty, and I'm seeing the struggle
Yes,
when I see them graduating. So that is my interest. I'm not so much interested in coaching patients.
right. We
Yes.
coach nurses. That's what we do.
Yeah.
And it's so rewarding to us. We've never done anything more simple, more fun, or more rewarding. It's
Yeah.
all of those things.
Yeah, I met you. I met both of you at the TNP conference in Dallas.
Great.
Oh, good, good.
Yes, and I'm already certified as a nurse, as a life coach.
Right.
So I just thought that this was going to be something that I've been thinking about it, but I didn't know how to go about it. So it just happened at the right time, you know. It was a nice coincidence.
Yeah, perfect timing. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. And so I have just booked a call with one of you next week, Wednesday. I'm babysitting my grandson, so I'm so sorry.
No, it's good.
On
We're human
Wednesdays,
beings here with lives.
on Wednesdays are my days to babysit my grandson. Now my husband actually has him so that I could talk to you. He's a little bit fussy.
Oh, that's okay.
Oh, he's so lucky to have you.
Yes.
Oh, I'm so lucky to have him. So that's my Wednesday therapy.
Ah, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, Natalie, we have another minute if you would like to ask a quick question. I put, there you go.
I'll just make an appointment with y'all.
Okay.
I
Yep.
guess basically what I wanted to know is I'm a family nurse practitioner and would like to maybe be part-time. And I think I had talked to somebody at the Dallas TMP conference
Right.
about, I was asking them about coding. You know, do you have specific codes set up for billing and stuff? And whoever I talked to said we're in the process of that, but it's not a done thing yet.
Yeah, we do have research codes that can be used, and those are what are described as code 3s. So
Okay.
that's where it's at right now.
Okay, and that means if I'm in my own practice that I can bill Medicare and
Not yet.
commercial?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
But we do have people who are using, who have private paying patients, and they're using their FSA and HSA accounts to those healthcare accounts to do that,
Okay. All right.
as well as private pay. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Well, Beverly, I see that you're unmuted. Would you like to ask a quick question? Well, I think that brings us to the close of this session. I'm just so grateful to each of you who has come today. Nurse coaching obviously is our heart, and the principles of health and resilience are the wind beneath our wings. So we're so glad to be able to share with you, and we just have the best possible feeling for the future of this profession. And we're all here together, so we're just going to start today. Teresa?
Just thanking everyone for being here. It's so nice to meet everyone, and I look forward to talking with you.
Yes. Thanks so much. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Thank you.